Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. In this show, we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. It is July 5th. I hope everyone had a great 4th of July yesterday. We had a bunch of people over at Casa de McGahee. Had a lot of different ethnic foods, I guess, in the mix. In this house, we were celebrating kind of the melting pot that is America. So we had food from Mexico, from Greece, from China. We had beers from Canada, Mexico, Germany, basically a whole bunch of different things to enjoy, along with a lot of good friends and company. It rained second half of the day, which kind of put a damper on everything because it rained quite a bit. So that kind of took away some of the fireworks fun in the evening. But nonetheless, I think we all had a good time. So hopefully you enjoyed your 4th, and let's get on with the show, guys. So like I said on Tuesday, usually the holiday weeks, there's not a lot of news coming out. So I kind of covered everything on Tuesday's show I wanted to talk about. But yesterday was Wednesday, and like clockwork, new comics came out. A couple of good comics actually came out. So that's what I'm going to do today. I just want to run through a couple of comics that I enjoyed yesterday. If you guys have read any of these, share your thoughts on them, or maybe you can go pick them up after my recommendations. I will say that I am going to do kind of spoilerish stuff. Some I'm going to spoil, some I'm not. So kind of your warning on that, guys. Okay, starting off, as I like to say, the name of the show is an X-Men reference. If you get the reference, kudos to you. We should talk more. If you don't, look up Dayspring, and then you'll thank me later, because it's a whole barrage of wonderful X-Men mythology within that word. But nonetheless, I am an X-Men fan, so I'm going to start off with X-Men comics that I read that I really enjoyed. And starting off, you got Astonishing X-Men number 13, written by Matthew Rosenberg. Now, this is the first of a new team that is being formed. On the cover, it says, first issue of a brand new era. And what I liked about this one was that it focused on Havoc. Now, Alex Summers is a great character. The whole Summers clan, I'm a big fan of. Havoc has always kind of been in his brother's shadow, and even much like his brother in the movies, he kind of got the shaft. There's a lot of history to him. He's been an X-Men almost since the beginning, so there's a lot there. He's led his own team several times, and in recent years, he's kind of had a little rough go of it. So, like most X-Men, when they come back from their damnation, they try to redeem themselves, and this is kind of what Havoc is doing. He wants to put together his own X-Men team. The problem is no one will let him. Captain America, who he worked with, doesn't want to see him do that. Kitty Pryde, who runs the Xavier Institute now, doesn't want to see him do it. And then he goes to his friend Beast, and Hank McCoy really doesn't want to be down on it as well. And lo and behold, Ravagers show up. You got Miss Sinister in the mix. Not quite sure exactly what the full story is, but I enjoyed this as just kind of a character look at Havoc, where he is, possibly where he could be going. Well, like I said, he's a great, enjoyable character, so that's why I enjoyed this issue. I'm looking forward to see what else comes in the mix. Looks like we got Dazzler, who is a good X-Men character who hasn't had enough praise lately. Looking to see some good stuff with her. On the cover, you got Colossus, Warpath, and of course Beast. So we'll wait and see how the rest of this team's put together. But overall, it's a good jumping on point, guys. So go check that out. All right, another good X-Men comic that I think you should check out is X-Men Gold number 31, written by Mark Guggenheim. So issue 30 was the alleged wedding of Kitty Pryde and Colossus. And if you read issue 30, you know, spoiler, it doesn't happen. So now we're kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. Colossus and Kitty, not big, fans of trying to stay together. Colossus wants to go back to Russia, do some soul searching, stuff like that. One thing I did catch, though, in one of the first panels is that the hotel they were staying at was the Claire Byrne Hotel. Of course, a little reference there to Chris Claremont and John Byrne, the classic X-Men creative team that I think actually introduced both these characters from their first origins. I think they did. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. But nonetheless, again, it's just a good one. Now, what happens this issue really doesn't focus on Kitty and Colossus. It's more about Rachel Summers, and we get a little tidbit into the Days of Future Past future, the one going all the way back again to Chris Claremont and John Byrne, Days of Future Past storyline, and the future that had happened where Kitty and Colossus and Storm, they were all older and trying to outrun the Sentinels, and what part Rachel played in all this. Again, I love the Summers crew. Summer Family is such a messed up, deep mythology of fun. Guys, if you want to know more about it and why I love it, ask me, and I'll sit down for like 30 minutes and tell you all about the Summers family. So go check out X-Men Gold number 31, guys. Okay, now let's get to the main event, so to speak, the comic that a lot of people were looking forward to, which is Batman number 50, the wedding of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. Tim King, of course, been writing Batman for a couple of years now and just crushing it. He's also done Vision, which is great. He's just overall just phenomenal. I love the way he's been writing Batman. He's got me excited to read Batman. And Batman's always been touch and go for me, but I've been reading Batman ever since King was brought on, and it's one of my favorite things to read every month now. So with this issue, there are a lot of artists who threw their own talents into it, and it's a good kind of history between these two characters, kind of also looking at how their looks have changed, how their relationship has changed, just going through the history of them all as they both prepare for the wedding. Some great art in here by a lot of different artists, and then of course you had the ending, which I guess was spoiled a couple days ago online. I saw headlines, but I didn't actually look at the spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it for you either, guys. If you're a Batman fan, go to your local comic book store, check it out. It's definitely a special issue, and it leads right into Catwoman number 1 that came out this week as well. Again, not going to spoil it for you, but it's definitely, it's interesting, a momentous occasion, I guess you could say. So Batman number 50, guys. Keeping up with World's Finest, you got Man of Steel number 6 that came out this week. This is the first part of Brian Michael Bendis' switch from Marvel to DC. I think it's next week. You got Superman number 1 coming out, and really what this miniseries did, I see now, was set up Bendis' plans for Superman in the future. The first couple issues I wasn't a big fan of, but these last couple have definitely been interesting to read. And where this one ends up, just to spoil it for you guys a little bit, is that his son, Jonathan, and his wife, Lois, leave him. They leave off to go explore space with his alleged father, Jor-El. And they're going to be gone for like the summer or whatever. Lois is going to write a book out of it. John's going to get some training because he fears the power inside of him. So they're going to go off and do that. And then at the same time, Supergirl decides that she's going to go off into space and learn more about Kryptonians and what has all happened to them and if they're more out there. After losing the city of Kandor, she's a little down and about. So pretty much that takes away Superman's supporting cast and leaves him by himself. Obviously, you have the Justice League in there too, but it's going to be interesting to see where Bendis goes with Superman, mainly because I'm a big believer that it's his relationships that keep him the strongest, that keep him the most human. With Lois and Jonathan gone, I don't know how it's going to affect him, but we'll wait and see, guys. Bendis, one of my favorite writers, never disappoints, so I'm looking forward to see what he does with the Man of Steel. And speaking of Boy Scouts, Captain America number 1 came out yesterday as well. Now this is written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I know I didn't say that right. I never do because I'm horrible, but this is the guy who's actually writing, I believe, Black Panther now as well. Cosmic Black Panther, as I call it. And I wasn't a huge fan of Mark Waid's previous run it was okay. Lost me kind of a little bit at the end there, but right now Coates is off to a good start. This is all post Secret Empire, to where someone posed as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, and was working for Hydra. Now Steve's got to come back and kind of earn the trust of everyone, and it's a little more difficult. The government really doesn't want him working stuff, and he's kind of going to go on his own crusade. Looks like he's got Bucky, aka Winter Soldier, by his side. I'd love to, keep that dynamic duo together on this. The thing about Cap, where he is, we need to explore internally what he's going through. And in this first issue, we've got a lot of that. I'm very interested to see, again, what happens in the storyline and what kind of emotional journey Steve Rogers is going to go on in this one. But overall, the first issue, it's very good. It reminds me a lot of kind of the Ed Brubaker internal exploration of the character. So go check that out. Let me know what you think. All right, now let's step out of Marvel and DC. Like I've said before, Marvel and DC comics are mainly what I read, the superhero genre. Every once in a while, something comes along that catches my eye and I enjoy. And one of them is Death or Glory. It's a new one by Rick Remender. Remender, having written several Marvel comics. I know he did a run on Avengers. It's a pretty good storyline, actually, about this girl who grew up with her father, who was a trucker, and she ended up getting into kind of racing, and then she finds out that her father is dying and needs a new liver, so she pretty much becomes a criminal to try to save him, and then, of course, hijinks ensue. It's a really, interesting story, very humane, where she just wants to take care of her dad. Very strong character. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's issue 3 that came out yesterday, but this is one of those few, non-superhero, non-Marvel, non-DC ones that I like. I'm hoping they option this for a movie. I can see it kind of a new rendition of like Smokey and the Bandit, kind of where my mindset's on that. But if you guys haven't checked that out, I think it's worth a look, and let me know. All right, 2 more left I want to talk about today. One of them is issue 3 of Medieval Spawn and Witchblade. 2 very famous, again, non-Marvel, non-DC characters, and it's somewhat interesting. This Spawn is an old king who died and has come back to life, and then you have this peasant woman who has inherited the Witchblade at this time. It's, again, just a fun play on classic mythology that we know as far as current Witchblade and current Spawn, taking it back, playing with the characters a little bit. It's just a little bit of fun, guys, so you can check that out. And the last one that I thoroughly enjoyed was Cosmic Ghost Rider #1 by Donnie Coates. To be honest, I saw the cover and I was like, okay, this looks kind of weird. I'll check it out. Maybe I just haven't been keeping up with the Punisher lately, but I had no idea what Frank Castle had been through. I guess he had sold his soul to the devil, so to speak. He worked for Galactus, he worked for Thanos, and then he died, and he comes back and is living on Asgard. That's just really weird. But anyway, this is Cosmic Ghost Rider, and in this issue, he goes back in time, or has Odin send him back in time, to where he's thinking about killing a baby Thanos. And just to spoil a little bit at the end, he doesn't. In fact, he takes baby Thanos, straps into his chest, and rides off into the stars. It's just something really weird, something interesting. I had no idea that Frank Castle, this stuff had happened to him. But it's one of those freaky, far-out comics that I just found very interesting. Hopefully you guys will too. If you've checked it out, let me know. Again, I had no idea Frank Castle, this is where the character had led. I'm not a big Punisher guy, and I hadn't kept up with him, I guess. But nonetheless, Cosmic Ghost Rider is a far out comic, so you guys can check that out, of course, at your local shops. And that's it for me today, guys. Like I said, I just didn't really have much as far as news-wise because it is the holiday season, but I finished reading my comics a little while ago, and these are kind of my top picks that I enjoyed. Let me know what you like. I know everyone has their own personal taste. If there's something I missed that you liked, Let me know about it. Go out this weekend, check out Ant-Man and the Wasp. It opens tonight. I'm definitely going to check it out this weekend, and I will share my thoughts with you next week. Of course, hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, and the Gmail account to let me know what you think about it. Find me personally on Twitter and Instagram, SlimDayspring12. Go, enjoy your weekend, guys. Have fun, be merry, and remember, the Force will be with us all.